Cristian, Macias, it's me, Peter Spitek from DualShockers.com. I've been bitten by a vampire, by Dracula.
It's actually pronounced vampire, spider
Vampire
monkey. Hold on
what
tight.
I mean. Cristian, where you been, loca? Loca? I don't know in Spanish. We're checking out Vampire Survivors, but I desperately want to hear what you were about to say about either the Twilight series or...
Yeah. Vampire Survivors are more important, but I will say, just briefly, I do live right next to the Edward Cullen house, and yes, I have visited it. It's great.
I have only recently seen the Twilight film series, and hey, can I just say, I would just like to say something potentially controversial. That first one, it's pretty good.
Welcome.
I think they're all enjoyable. But I think that first one, like, there's a vision there. You know what I mean?
Welcome to the right side of trash cinema.
I'm so glad we're on the same page here. But I'm also so glad that we're taking a look at Vampire Survivors for the Contra DLC titled Vampire Survivors Operation Guns. So this is DLC for Vampire Survivors that features some characters from Contra. So I booted up Vampire Survivors. I hadn't played it in a while. I put about like 30 hours into it, and all my progress had been undone. I know that this game has been like continually updated since it came out, and I know that sometimes games do that, but I was a little disappointed. But what I'm trying to say is, like, this is not the Vampire Survivors that I had sort of down. You know what I mean? Like, if I go and I take a look here in my like power up collection, like, I'm not at full power is what I'm sort of getting at here.
Yeah, all of us definitely totally believe you.
Yeah, 100%, right? Everyone should. No, but for real though. So what's cool about this is it basically adds just a bunch of different Contra characters to the game, and then a handful of different maps. So I just want to show you. We're gonna take a look at two of the characters. We're gonna do the Probotector, and we're gonna take a look at this Contra map. There are two Contra maps. I've only played the first one. I've played about 2 hours of this so far. And hey, here's your daily reminder.
Heck yeah.
Vampire Survivors still fucks.
Can you believe it? Can you this game is so good, dude. Like,
I was gonna ask what your sort of history with this game was. Magic Wand. What is your background with Vampire Survivors?
I hopped on the Vampire Survivors train maybe like a month after release or so. I was busy with other projects, but when I did, man, like I was surprised that, like, no, everyone was right. Like, this game took over my life for a hot minute. I never beat it in its entirety, but I did get a couple of builds going that ended up being like pretty god mode for the first like 2 or 3 levels that I did clear. I remember Garlic specifically was like incredible. And that gameplay loop it's so good, and I was surprised at how deep it got, like even like after like 10 to 15 hours.
So I was gonna say, so the one thing for me that I'm a little bit, I wasted that a little bit, that I'm a little bit rusty on is all of the evolutions for the different weapons. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Sure.
I think that this game has like permanent item placement. So if I come back, that chicken will do me nice. But so I was a little rusty on the actual like weapon upgrade mechanics and stuff like that. I'm trying to get through here.
Yeah, well, I'm already nervous for you, by the way.
Thank you. I'm doing this live today because it just seemed like it might be just a little bit of a better fit for doing this particular game. But also because there have been so many updates, I wasn't super sure right off the bat about what was new specifically for this update and what was new for like that has been in the game for a while. However, with these levels and with this update, I think it is a little clear, just because if you look at something and you go, hey, that looks like it's out of Contra, then that is from the DLC. So obviously I'm playing this Contra character. I was a little worried when I first saw the trailer, not worried, but it's sort of the trailer had just a bunch of characters with guns, right? And just like machine guns, very, very Contra, like old school Contra weapons. And that's fine. That's cool. But I was worried that like the variety in terms of what that would actually be for like gameplay wise, I was worried that it was just going to sort of boil down to like, okay, you know, the new abilities are just guns.
Right.
However, as you can see with this character, we've got the Prism Lass, which is the weapon that I'm sort of using. And it's awesome. And it adds just this like new layer of like, okay, this is a cool idea for a Vampire Survivors character. It's kind of like the way that the whip, when it's upgraded, does like in two directions, you know what I mean? But it still has its own sort of identity because it like, you know, heads through the characters and stuff like that, the enemies rather. And cuts in both directions, but as you can see there, I cut through a bunch of different enemies there.
Can I just say?
Yeah, say anything.
Please, if I may. So when I first saw the menu and you describing the Contra DLC, this is me not knowing much of anything about the DLC that's upcoming for Vampire Survivors, that I figured just guns in the game in general would totally break it and you'd be super OP. I am pleasantly surprised that that's not the case. It is very much still like you're required to get yourself some kind of build, get your evolutions going, and try to survive.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Let's see here.
There's a good balance. It looks like there's a very healthy balance.
Yes. So like I said, I've only played this for about 2 hours or so, maybe 4 or 5 runs. Actually more than that, maybe 6 or 7. But the guns are pretty varied. Some of them I've not loved a ton. So like just some of the base characters. There's a guy who's like a lizard, and his weapon is like a mine that like drops to the bottom of the screen and sort of like rolls over whatever sort of terrain is at the very bottom. It didn't jive with me particularly well, but that's not to say that like there aren't going to be interesting builds to be done with that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Because I also found that in the base game, the weapons that were a little bit more obtuse or maybe seemed a little bit less, not less like useful, but just like that maybe didn't jive with me. They had like upgrade paths that were like actually pretty substantial to the point where like, okay, if you could put up with this in the early hours of the game, you like you're gonna be kind of set when it comes time to like actually upgrade stuff.
Right.
As you can sort of see here, there are these like flying like robot things from Contra that come up every so often, and if I can hit one of those, I end up getting a buff, which will either act as a shield for one hit or will
huge.
I think increase the rate in which you attack. It's a welcome. I think everything that's been added to this has been pretty welcome in my opinion. Again, I have not kept up entirely with every single update for Vampire Survivors, so it's hard for me to say like what this game needs out of DLC. But to my understanding, all the DLC that's been released has basically just been, I believe Poncle is the name of the developer, has just been Poncle just like styling on all of the stuff that's been in the games. You know what I mean? We're just gonna freeze time here and hopefully take care of this boss.
Yeah, I was nervous for you for a second, but that's a great. You saving that item for just this moment worked out beautifully.
You gotta keep the eye out for him. Oh, there's a chicken over there. There we go.
Can I mention my
yes,
favorite
please.
thing about Vampire Survivors real quick?
Anything.
It's like that sound is so tactile in my ears. Like when you're like,
Which sound?
when you're like hitting enemies. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the sound design of this game is
100%.
equally as satisfying.
I have not played this game, like I said, in a while. I did take care of this guy. But there was this moment where I was like riding a bike. You know what I mean? Just like, oh yeah. You know, there's some bits like I said, I'm not super. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Right off the bat, pretty lucky there. There are some things that like I don't remember entirely, like all of the upgrade evolution paths for everything. So if you're watching this and you're like a diehard Vampire Survivors fan, I apologize if I'm not maybe playing optimally, but you'll have to forgive me because I'm showing you the cool new DLC. So there are also like specific items that you can grab. I grabbed one earlier when I was down here. And you can see it's in the passive slot up in the top left. It looks like a metal briefcase.
Right.
I'm not super familiar with Contra. I've played like the original Contra in like those like Capcom arcade cabinets that they have that
Yes.
have like 6 different games. You know what I'm talking about? You have like Mega Man games and then, Contra, whatever.
Sure.
Let's see here, do that one. So I've played it like a handful of times, but I'm not like a die-hard Contra fan. So I can't tell you also like what specifically is being pulled from like the Contra catalog. I just know that like when it looks like it's from Contra, it's something from Contra. You know what I mean?
Sure. The last time I played Contra was like when my mom and I would go do laundry in like the public laundromat, and I'd just like use like a spare quarter to play some games. You know what I mean?
That what you've just described is like such an incredible like like playing a game when you're like waiting for something at some sort of public place that just happens to have a
Remember those?
thing.
Remember that?
Oh yeah, 100%. So here's what I'm talking about. So these are these like weapon power-ups. So basically they sit in as a passive ability, but they also will upgrade one of your just random weapon skills, and then it acts as a revival item as well. So basically, like, when I go down, and believe me, I will go down as these forces just get more and more intense, it'll revive me. But there are 2 of them that I have in my inventory right now, so I will get at least 2 revivals. Let's see if I can find another one. It kind of changes things up because it just allows you to explore a little bit more because it just prolongs the session. Although usually by the time I start dying, it's like kind of a domino effect of just like, well, I'm just gonna die by something.
Yeah, and that's how that happens. Oh, here we go.
Oh, and look at that.
That's
yeah,
one.
that was a bad play on my end. Let's see if I can just sneak by all these guys. Usually I do just a little bit better. Let's see here. I know like back in the day with OG Vampire Survivors stuff, like I'm talking about like when when they added the like library level is sort of like when I was like into it and playing, and it was like a big deal that they added a second level. Whereas now I know that like there's a ton of new stuff. What's cool about this is that there's like a lot of like set locations for items and stuff, which I think has been the case with a handful of other Vampire Survivors things, levels and such. So I know where to look for some of those revival things. Let's see what we can do here.
What a gamer, Peter the gamer.
I believe it or not, I did my research. As soon as I saw that we had this, I was like, oh, I am potentially about to sink a lot of time into Vampire Survivors again.
What is Contra? ? Search.
Yeah, there's one, and let's see if I can't grab that other one. But also, I'll tell you what, I'm not, again, playing my best here, but then also I'm sort of hopefully going to have this be a little bit of a showcase for stuff. So here's the thing. I don't remember this with Contra. Like, there's like xenomorphs in this. You see these xenomorph like pods here?
Right.
And I was getting attacked by some like face huggers. Are they a part of the Contra lore?
Another one. That is a great question.
We're about to go down for sure.
One for the comments, even. Let us know.
Oh yeah, if you're a big Contra
surely
head.
don't.
Yeah. This is pitiful, by the way. Imagine him dying only 9 minutes in. What a chump I am. Yeah, I don't know. Like there's just a bunch of xenomorph stuff that I was sort of surprised by, but I was like, that's a certain welcome addition to the game, but I didn't know if there was some sort of Contra-related xenomorph stuff, or maybe that they had their own version of xenomorphs, perhaps. Let's see if we can't regain some health that way. Oh, I didn't know you could go inside this.
Oh, there we go. Oh,
yeah,
it doesn't look good in there, though.
No. And also, I was running into a wall, so I'm sure there is a different way to enter.
Are those dogs?
Yeah, I don't. But like, that's the other thing. I don't like. Is that a Contra thing? What are these little dogs? For sure. We're doing okay. We're gonna make it work. I see the path.
Yeah, you're surviving. As they say.
'Tis the whole point of the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that like, hey, the bar for good video games, I think, is Vampire Survivors, and is your game as good as Vampire Survivors? If the answer is no, then you don't have a very good video game on your hands.
Nice.
There we go. Prolong it. And then also you can sort of see that my guys are going out even further. Ooh, that's actually a great power-up. Let's see if we can't grab it. Nope. Oh, wait. We have
got you.
one more.
Yeah, that revive, though.
Let's see here.
What a way to get like Contra for me, at least more on the mental zeitgeist, my own little personal zeitgeist.
Couldn't tell you the last time before this that I like actually thought about Contra. This is there you go. Everyone get off my back. It's hard to talk about this and play at the same time. Okay.
A solid attempt. Also, this looks like harder even than some of these base levels that that you start out playing.
I'll tell you what, I played a few of just like the basic, that first level to get some of these power-ups here, which I'm going to buy some of maybe. I guess I'm like trying to say like, this is 5,000 coins. I've got 3,000. I would love to buy this right now, but we're going to wait.
Dude, when I saved up for that like super early on. That was massive.
It's huge. It's massive. It's huge. It just doubles your output. Yeah, so I played just like that first was Green Hill Zone basically. We're gonna play Stanley, by the way. He's got quite the weapon. Whatever this first one is, just the Mad Forest. And I fared better than I was faring in the Contra Neo Galaga level. But let's see here. Now this guy's got some abilities that I really like. These rockets are kind of overpowered.
I do like his little what would you even call it? Like the effect behind him as you move.
Yeah, it's not bad, right? Fire wand. Also, can I just say I love the way this guy shuffles.
By the way, crazy that like the King Bible is doing damage against like robots, I guess.
I think these guys are aliens.
They've got like soldiers.
They've got like tentacles coming out of their heads. But that's the other thing. I sort of remember Contra as being a very like Vietnam-inspired sort of game. Do you know what I mean? And so like, I just don't remember much about
fear, King James, and Christianity.
Yeah. There are, I think in the press release I was looking at, there's like I think 22 new weapons in this game. We're gonna leave that there for when things get particularly hairy. Like 22 new weapons in this DLC, which is just pretty solid, right?
Sure.
And like I said, there were I think maybe like between 5 and 10 new characters for this, which I think has been sort of the MO for a lot of the Vampire Survivors DLC content of just like they've added a lot, and
that's meaty.
It's meaty, yeah. I think there's only two levels, but this one is pretty varied. I mean, like I was in like that sort of city area before. Now we're sort of in a more like foresty spot. And then there's like the xenomorph like hive as well, which is again kind of baffling, but also like you're not going to catch me complaining about the inclusion of aliens in in these games.
Hey, you excited for what's that new alien movie called? You excited for that? Romulus?
There's a new
excited
one?
for Romulus?
Is there a new one?
All right. Well, there's my answer.
I guess that does answer it. The last one I remember was Michael Fassbender. Oh wait, was that Prometheus? It wasn't Prometheus.
That was the subsequent one after Prometheus.
Yeah, that was with the white xenomorph in the trailer, right?
Yeah.
I did not catch that one. I kind of have like I love like obviously Alien and I love Aliens because I'm a red-blooded American with a beating heart.
Incredible.
But kind of everything else Alien related, I don't have a particularly high affinity for, except for what was that game that was really good?
Isolation.
Isolation, yes.
Yeah.
And I played, actually, believe it or not, I kind of have a fascination. I'm sure you've noticed this about me. A fascination with just terrible video games, and so I think that game.
Huge.
Yeah, that's great. That'll sometimes they'll sometimes give you the big nuke one, which just clears the map, which is pretty great. Comes in handy sometimes, but usually it'll boost your attack speed for a few seconds and then offer a shield as well. Alien Colonial Marines, though, I've played a fair amount of because I find it like endlessly fascinating. Of just like one of those things where, hey, like, how did this game go so wrong? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Sure.
And I always find that to be kind of neat.
What a strange aside. I hardly remember how we got here, but I think it was because of the xenomorph egg things
in this game. Yeah. Which this is, by the way, I would say 8 million times better than Aliens Colonial Marines.
Yeah, Vampire Survivor is very much not a bad video game.
No. This is spectacular, and just like this DLC is pretty killer as well. To the point where like, hey, I think I'm about to get deep back into Vampire Survivors again here. But it's something that what's that? Go on.
Is gaming back, Peter?
I think gaming's back. I think gaming was done for a while. Obviously,
thank you, indies.
Yeah, indies brought it back. You know what's interesting? I feel like we were in such a lull, and then all of a sudden, I'm being facetious. I've always sort of like when people are saying like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be kind of a slow year." I'm like,
no, it never is.
The same calendar, like
never is.
Like, guys, there's not enough time for me to play all the games I want to play.
Exactly.
If I'm about to spend eight of the next like. If I'm about to spend a lot of time playing Vampire Survivors, then yeah, there's just not enough time for me to play all the games I want to play, guys.
Sure.
Let's see here. Let's actually, get some health going as we do this. Things are getting a little bit hairy. Let's see if we can't wait and hold out to use that nuke until we get at least one boss on screen. Although this is probably worth it at this point.
Huge.
It's great. It's real good. Something that I mentioned though, sort of right off the bat, when looking at this DLC, is like I was worried that, like I said, because it was like Operation Guns, I was worried that it was just going to be everyone had just like pretty simple like gun weapons that we're all going to play, not like the same, but very like for whatever reason, I was not giving Vampire Survivors enough credit to pull something like great out of this concept. But as you can see, like that first character I played was just. That one was pretty spectacular in terms of like it had like the sort of like cyber knife or whatever, and then this guy has these like homing missiles that feel completely different, you know.
Sure. I guess my expectations 15 minutes ago before we even started was when I hear Contra Guns DLC, I'm thinking like an M4, maybe a flamethrower, but like the cyber knife missiles, that's a lot more complex. Or my expectations already surpassed just by listening to like seeing the characters and their weapons available on screen.
There's like a lot more creativity on display, and again, like I don't know why I was not giving them the benefit of the doubt, I guess. But I'm really impressed with all of the stuff that they have in here, and again, just with this one DLC, because there's obviously plenty of other incredible Vampire Survivors content within just like the base game itself. Let's get that.
More missiles.
Yeah, the missiles are pretty powerful.
If those bad boys were shooting like a second faster, you know what I mean? Like it'd be, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And, yeah, 100%. And what's great too is that like the power ups that you get from just like wandering around the world that we've sort of seen, or that come from the sort of like red flying drone things, play. They play into sort of what makes these weapons fun. So like, you know, obviously, like I said, like one of them just makes you fire a lot faster. So it just makes everything feel like you've just like cranked it up to the 10s, you know, for just a few seconds. It just enhances what sort of these weapons are all bringing to the table. Just a little bit on there. I think this might be a dead end actually. So we might be in a little bit of a tricky situation. It's definitely a dead end down there. So, no, I know where we are. And sort of as I mentioned before too, what's solid about the new sort of levels that they've been adding there are power-ups that are sort of like set spawns and like set locations. So that right there, I'm gonna grab as soon as I sort of can here. It just, you know, it attracts all of the experience orbs to me. So I'm about to like gain like a level or two. But it's sort of set in place. There we go. And that was pretty good. Let's get the wings a little bit faster.
God, it's so satisfying, man.
It's really satisfying, isn't it? More missiles. More projectiles. There we go. Let's see. What do you give me? There we go.
Oh my God, huge.
I really, really like what they have done with this concept. And yeah, there's just a lot to it. like I said, I've only played this first level, but I'm interested in what else they sort of have coming with it, because also like I checked out the trailer and they've got some like at the very end just like a sort of a flash reel of just like here are some of the other things you can come to expect, and there's some pretty cool stuff in there that I'm looking forward to checking out. What's that?
I know you sort of mentioned you sticking around. Are you like are you this pulled back in through the DLC that you like want to at least beat this level to check out the second one?
Yeah, I want to check out more of the characters too, because like so when you get the DLC, the sort of basic first character is unlocked by default, and he just has like a machine gun, right? Pretty simple. But then you start to unlock more as you complete different missions in here. So like it'll be stuff like evolve the first gun in order to unlock another character, or find the relic in this mission to unlock another character, or stuff like that. So I'm interested in at least seeing that sort of stuff, and sort of just seeing like I said, the weapons have been pretty solid so far, that I'm like actually kind of interested in checking out what else they have sort of up their sleeves. And I do want to see that second mission as well.
Yeah, even the cover art for it looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
very metropolitan.
Yeah, and like there was a scene in the trailer that has them riding you're riding a motorcycle, and hey, whether that's just for the trailer or not, I am interested in finding out, because if it is like fully in the game, then I'm very into that.
Sure. Yeah.
As sort of a concept here. We're going here.
I like what this DLC does for me in theory too. You can always expand with like more Contra stuff, or even further partnerships with other IP. I think could be really interesting for Vampire Survivors. Like the longevity of this game is fantastic.
Yeah, because they've done other like IP DLC. I can't exactly tell you what they are right off the top of my head. So I apologize for not having that like right off the dome, but I know that this is one of several sort of cool,
sure.
Larger IP sort of branching out that they've done, and yeah, like each of them are done, to my understanding, with the same sort of amount of care that this one has sort of received, and that's just from me hearing about. Yeah, I'm getting kind of cooked here. There we go. That's just from me hearing about it being talked about on podcasts and whatever else. Obviously, like I said, I've never played them. But yeah, I mean, I'm. It's funny, you forget how good this game is until you play it again. I think a little bit. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because every time it comes up, I'm like, yeah, I like Vampire Survivors. No, it's really good, and I think what's so cool about it too is just how simple it is. You know what I mean? Like there's there's complexity to like leveling up the weapons. There's complexity to understanding like how to make solid builds and stuff like that. But like actually playing it, WASD or arrow keys, or you can even just use the mouse at this point, because they've kind of added like as if it's like a touch screen. So like, I mean, here, look at this.
I mean, the game is also available on mobile devices, so that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. It totally makes sense as to why they would sort of just include that as a feature. Yeah, I think what's so cool about this is like as a game is just, hey, like this is like a pretty simple concept, but like there's something to it that just feels good, that just works really well, that people are into, I mean,
that's what happens when you have like your mechanics foundation just so solid. You get to play around with the systems as much as you want.
See how long we can keep this going, just because I
reckon not much longer.
No,
it's not looking good for you.
As I mentioned before, like sort of when I start dying, the other deaths are pretty quick after. It's just because the difficulty ramps up so fast. I remember the first time I played this, I was like, I'm supposed to last for 30 full minutes? Like how? And then I know people, like, not to spoil what comes at the end of these runs, but I know that people have figured out ways to kill death, which is kind of awesome. So good are the builds that they create.
Some of those builds are like beyond me. It's the same thing with like Balatro and seeing like how are you getting like this like quantifiably this much score. I don't. Get it.
I get it. Like, I love Balatro. I've never gotten more than 1 million in a single hand, and I've seen people do it. Like Sam Woods, managing editor of DualShockers.com, sent us a message. It was like, check this out, and it was like the third hand, and he was already at like he had already gotten such a high number that the game had to like send it as like a smaller number that is being multiplied. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's using exponents now.
Yes, exponents is what it is, right? And so similar to this game, like I've just seen like so many like just incredible builds and stuff that I hope to if I stick sort of with playing more of this to get going.
I believe in you though.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, nice. Some spinch? Going Popeye mode?
Yeah, man. Makes you strong. Were you? Can I say I also love like, it's obviously a Popeye reference. I love all the different like little references to things in this game. There's the spinach. There's the. Oh
my god.
Not looking good for me. Although there we go. That is what I'm talking about. Getting rich. It's so like casino-y, right? Like it's like a slot machine and all that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Without
what
the
do you think I'm
dangers
gonna
of
be
gambling.
mad about it? Yeah. Hey, gamble responsibly. Going down, but I think we've got one more revive here. It got a little decent build coming up here. We want to grab that guy.
If only you can hit that drone, that'd be huge.
I know. The problem is that
The missiles, right?
Yeah, the missiles. I have nothing that goes in the direction that I'm looking. It's all just like the random stuff. Anything to help me out here? Not really.
No, there goes that shield.
I know. I think.
Is it Jover?
No. I think it's Jover. That's all she wrote. So yeah, there you go. That is the Contra DLC Operation Guns, Vampire Survivors. And let's see if we are able to unlock anything else now. But yeah, so you've got, I think, Space Dude. I don't think Space Dude is part of this, although he has a gun, so maybe he is. And we got Bill, Lance, Ariana, Sheena, Brownie, Brad, Lucia, Probotector, Stanley, Newt, Bahamut, Colonel Bahamut, excuse me, and then Simondo Belmont. So a lot of different characters in here for you to try out. That's Vampire Survivors, X Contra, Operation Guns.
Hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
Where you been, Loca? Bye.